good morning. Welcome back to my channel. We are now 7-ish weeks into 2024, and I know a lot of people have made New Year's resolutions to lose weight, and you have embarked on your fat loss journey, your fitness journey. I hope it's going amazing for all of you, but for any of you who may be questioning some things, maybe not getting the results that you necessarily are expecting to, or if you have any little doubts in your brain, I wanted to make a video all about the top mistakes that people make on their fat loss journeys and how to correct said mistakes. Because the last thing you want to do is get like 3, 4, 5 months into your fat loss journey, realize you didn't quite go about it the right way, and so the results are really not what you're expecting, or your results are not gonna hang around for very long, and now you've wasted all of that time for results that are not what you are after. So I'm gonna hopefully keep this short and sweet, but y'all know how I love to ramble, so fingers crossed I can do that. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. Problem number 1, and this is by far the biggest, most common problem that I see across the board that messes up the most number of people, and that is simply trying to go too fast. Losing weight too rapidly often results in a lot of various psychological and physiological changes that make it very unsustainable and make weight regain a lot more likely. Like almost guaranteed. So some of the science behind why this occurs is, first and foremost, losing weight too rapidly can result in a much greater loss of lean body mass. So basically, you're not just gonna lose fat, you're also gonna lose muscle. And muscle mass is key in maintaining your basal metabolic rate. So essentially, the more muscle you have, the more calories you're going to burn naturally, which means the easier it's going to be to keep weight off. If you start burning up that muscle, that's essentially getting rid of one of your body's main ways of burning calories. The more muscle you have, the easier it is to lose fat and to keep it off. So the last thing you wanna be doing is losing muscle as you're trying to lose weight. And then in addition to losing muscle mass, your body goes through a lot of other adaptations that compound to slow your metabolism. And this is gonna include changes in things such as your sympathetic nervous system and your hormones, and pretty much every system of your body is going to be affected by trying to lose weight super rapidly, and will cause your metabolism to slow down. Slow metabolism makes it really hard to keep fat off. And the resulting change in hormones is not only going to lead to a slower metabolism, but it's also very likely to throw off your hunger and satiety cues, making it even more difficult to keep the weight off, because not only is your metabolism slower than it should be, but you're also hungrier than normal. And then one of the biggest things that I see happening when people make this mistake that often confuses a lot of people and makes them continue to make this mistake is that oftentimes the strategies that people follow to lose weight really quickly result in a rapid loss of water weight from the body, not necessarily body fat. So usually when you're seeing like a super quick drop on the scale, it's just water weight leaving your body, not any sort of permanent fat loss. And your goal should never be to just lose water weight. Your body is 60% water. Like, you need water in your body in order to survive and in order for your bodily functions to function properly. So trying to just lose water weight is just completely misplaced efforts. Do not do that. But it can be super gratifying to see the scale go down really quickly, and it makes you think that you're doing something right. So it can really fool you into thinking that you're making a lot of great progress on this plan that is actually like not setting you up for success, and then you get caught in that loop of doing the plan, losing a bunch of weight, regaining it back right away, doing the plan again, losing the weight, regaining it back right away, and you're like, what's going on? It's probably just a very quick drop in water weight that you're initially experiencing, not fat loss. So overall, sustainable fat loss involves making really gradual, realistic changes to your diet, your exercise, your lifestyle, etc. And these changes should not only promote fat loss, but also promote and prioritize long-term health and well-being. So the solution here, if you think you might be approaching fat loss in a slightly too fast way, is take your desired timeline and double it or triple it. You see a lot of people on the internet talking about how like losing 1 pound per week is pretty like standard. That's the goal to aim for, but that is way too freaking general. Like if you're already a relatively small human, like if you're short, if you're petite, losing a pound a week might be a relatively large percentage of your body weight. So I recommend instead setting a target weight loss of approximately 0.4 to 0.8% of your body weight per week. And it's important to remember that this is not going to be linear. Like, even if you're targeting like 0.5% of your body weight per week, you're not gonna see those changes every single week. It should be on average over the month or 2 months or 3 months. And then just in general, when it comes to this mistake, make sure you are prioritizing your long-term goals and thinking about the future, not just thinking about your short-term goal of like losing the weight as fast as possible. Problem number 2 is not starting with a healthy metabolism. Because here's the thing, to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. Now, this is not the video where I'm gonna address the nuances of that statement and how that doesn't necessarily mean you actually have to decrease your calorie intake in order to be in a calorie deficit, but you do have to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose fat. So the more you can eat to maintain your weight, the easier it's gonna be to eat in a calorie deficit to lose weight. Like, if you can maintain weight on 2,500 calories, it's gonna be a lot easier to eat like 2,200 calories to lose weight than it will be if you are trying to restrict to like 1,500 calories to maintain weight and then trying to lose weight on like 1,200 calories. Like, the difference is just night and day. Because it's not just about the size of the calorie deficit, it's also about how much you are eating. Because if you're trying to eat 1,200 calories instead of 2,200 calories to lose weight, that's gonna affect your body in a lot of negative ways outside of just making it really freaking difficult to sustainably lose fat. Like, for example, that's gonna contribute to losing more lean body mass, and I just talked about that with the last problem. It's also going to negatively affect your hormones. It's gonna be a huge stressor on the body, which often causes our hormones to cause us to store more body fat. Severely restricting is also gonna impact your thyroid function, which plays a big role in regulating your metabolism. It's also gonna negatively impact your NEAT, or your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is how many calories you naturally burn throughout the day by doing things like fidgeting, talking with your hands. So it really is about finding that balance of getting your metabolism to a healthy enough place where a calorie deficit is not going to be so restrictive that it results in all of these negative things happening to your body. And the thing is, a lot of people have very slow metabolisms due to chronic dieting. The metabolism is highly adaptable. If it weren't, humans would have died from starvation a really long time ago. So evolutionarily, it's been an advantage. But when it comes to fat loss, makes things a little bit harder sometimes, because every time you decrease your calorie intake, your metabolism is going to naturally slow down to compensate for that, which is why you often hit a plateau when you're trying to lose fat. And so every time you try dieting, if you don't do anything to maintain a healthy metabolic rate, you're just gonna keep slowing down your metabolism with every successive diet until you're essentially starving just to maintain your weight, and that makes losing fat like impossible. And even if you can lose fat, it means you're gonna regain it. And then you just get stuck in this vicious cycle of eating next to nothing, losing a little bit of weight, regaining it, eating next to nothing, and then you're just starving and you're miserable and you're not healthy because your body isn't getting the energy that it needs. I'm rambling again. I'm gonna reel it in. I've just seen so many people go through this, and I just wish that I could implant this information in everyone's brain so that no one has to go through this vicious cycle. But anyway, the solution to this is, first of all, to educate yourself about the metabolism and how it works so you don't get sucked into various dieting protocols that are going to do more harm than good. If all of this is relatively new information for you, I highly recommend taking my completely free course called Metabolism Mastery. It dives into all things metabolism, metabolic adaptation, metabolic health, and how to dig yourself out of that metabolic hole if you do feel like you've slowed your metabolism down due to chronic dieting. I'll leave a link to it down in the description box below. It's holisticfitnesslabs.com/metabolism-mastery, and you can just sign up for free and learn all things about the metabolism. Highly recommend. Put a lot of time and effort into it. The next step here to solve this problem is, if you've been dieting for what feels like forever without any intentional breaks from dieting, give your body a break. Stop trying to force your body to do what it clearly doesn't want to do. Because even if you manage to force your body to lose 10 pounds, lose 50 pounds, etc., if your metabolism is super slow, you're just going to regain it. Like, you're going to put in all of that time and effort and mental energy, and it's gonna undo itself. So you really have to get your metabolism and your body in a healthy place if you want to be able to lose fat and keep it off long term. And the overarching solution here, if you have a slow metabolism, is to do a reverse diet, because that is essentially the opposite of a diet. Where a diet is calorie restriction, which slows down your metabolism, a reverse diet is slowly increasing your calories in a very controlled way to speed up your metabolism without gaining excess body fat. And so this helps your metabolism heal, get faster. And so instead of trying to lose weight on 1,500 calories, you can maybe try to lose weight on 2,500 calories, which is just so much more sustainable. The next huge problem I see with people's approach to fat loss, that again, also very common, is not differentiating between losing weight and losing fat when it comes to their programming for accomplishing their goals. Some people may be trying to lose weight not because they care what they look like, just because they want to lose weight, but most people are trying to lose weight in order to get leaner, to see a little bit more muscle definition. And if that's the case, focusing specifically on trying to lose fat instead of just trying to lose overall body weight is crucial. And this is for a number of reasons. Number one is weight loss doesn't discriminate between fat and muscle. Simply trying to lose weight through calorie restriction and cardio is going to cause you to lose both. But the ratio of body fat to muscle is what determines your body composition. This is what determines how lean you look. So if you want to look leaner, the goal needs to be prioritizing losing fat and maintaining as much muscle as possible. Number two is that this can make a big difference when it comes to your metabolic health. And by this, I don't just mean how many calories you burn, but more so that excess body fat, particularly excess visceral body fat, so the body fat that gets stored like between your organs, is associated with various metabolic health issues, including type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, metabolic disease, metabolic syndrome, etc. So by prioritizing fat loss, you're not just prioritizing your body composition, you are also improving your overall metabolic health. And then to complement that, maintaining as much muscle as possible is also going to be very good for your metabolism, because as I explained before, more muscle essentially means more calories burned. So thankfully, there's a pretty straightforward solution to this in how to prioritize losing fat over just losing total body weight. Number one is to prioritize protein intake. Sufficient protein intake is key in maintaining muscle mass as you are in a calorie deficit. If you put yourself in a calorie deficit and are not eating enough protein, you're gonna lose a lot more muscle. I have a couple videos all about protein if you want more info on how to get more protein, how much protein you need, etc. I'll leave a link in the description below. Number two harkens back to the previous problem, and it is make sure you're eating enough. Again, if you're starting from very slow metabolism and decrease your intake even further, you're a lot more likely to just lose a ton of muscle. Number three is incorporate strength training. If you're not resistance training while you're trying to lose fat, chances are you're gonna be losing fat and muscle. And a lot of your weight loss could come from muscle. Like, this is by far one of the biggest differentiating factors in where your body weight loss comes from. Resistance training essentially tells the body, hey, we need muscle mass. And so if you're going to lose weight, lose it from fat, because fat is not helping us lift these very heavy objects. Muscle is helping us lift these very heavy objects, so we need to keep it around. So much more of the weight loss is going to come from fat if you're also resistance training. And then lastly, this is always a controversial one. I have a whole video about it if you really want to get into it. Like, if you disagree with me, go watch my video about this and then come back and comment, or just comment on that. We can talk on that video. But no cardio, or at least very, very, very minimal and strategically applied cardio in order to lose fat. The TLDR on this is that cardio is essentially the opposite of resistance training. It sends the opposing signals to the body. When you're doing a ton of cardio, your body doesn't really need a lot of muscle to maintain that, and muscle is heavy. And so your body is going to start paring that back because it's not super useful, and in conjunction with a calorie deficit, it doesn't need to be keeping it around. And so again, you're gonna be losing a lot of weight from muscle. You're gonna lose some fat too, but the ratio of what you're losing weight from is not going to be favorable to an improved body composition over time. Common mistake number 4 is not building the long-term discipline and lifestyle changes needed in order to maintain your results. I've talked about weight set point versus weight settling point in a video before. I broke down all of the science, so I'll leave a link to that down in the description box below. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it already. But essentially, when you lose weight or change your body weight, body composition, your body needs to settle into this new point. And that requires being able to maintain that for a while so that your body can settle into it. A lot of the times people crash diet and crash into this new point, and your body doesn't settle. If it crashes, you end up rebounding and gaining all the weight back. Unless you're only losing a couple pounds, the reality is that you more than likely need to shift and change your lifestyle at least a little bit in order to accommodate this new body. Building and establishing healthy habits are a crucial part of long-term sustainable weight loss for several reasons. One, like I just said, helps prevent yo-yo dieting. Anyone who's been through a cycle of yo-yo dieting knows that it can just have some pretty not great effects on your mental health and your physical well-being. So, want to avoid that at all costs. Number 2 is that building discipline is just going to help with the long-term behavioral changes that need to occur in order for you to maintain your results. Number 3, and you guys know me, this is a big one and what I basically preach all the time, is that it helps with prioritizing your long-term health as well. Sustainable, healthy fat loss is gonna have a much more positive contribution to your long-term health than chronically yo-yo dieting back and forth. In fact, the chronically yo-yo dieting is gonna have a negative impact on your long-term health, whereas if you can implement positive, healthy behavioral changes that lead to long-term fat loss, you're gonna have an overall net positive effect on your health. So the big solution here is start by prioritizing, establishing a healthy lifestyle, and slowly implementing positive, helpful changes into your life before even trying to actively put yourself in a calorie deficit and lose fat. Like, start by building that foundation that you'll be able to settle into once you've reached your goals, instead of trying to reach your goals and then figure out how to do it after that. This is exactly why I launched my free wellness challenge this year, 35 Thrive, is to help you start building that healthy baseline from which you can try to start losing fat. So if you have found that you are just chronically dieting and can't figure out how to actually lose the fat, and you aren't really establishing those long-term healthy habits, and you know your body needs a break, I highly recommend checking out 35 Thrive. I have a whole video on it. I'll also leave a link in the description box below. It's just 35thrive.com. But this challenge really prioritizes helping you just build some key changes into your lifestyle that are gonna make it a lot easier for you to eventually lose fat and keep it off. And it's just so important to take it one day at a time, not try to think about, you know, I'm gonna lose all the weight in 1 month, but really just to think about each day implementing those individual habits and individual things that you need to do to ultimately reach your goals. And if you can be consistent, if you can have the discipline and have those habits just an ingrained part of your lifestyle, it's gonna feel so much easier. It's not gonna feel like you're fighting against your body. It's gonna feel like you're working with your body. And then mistake number 5 is I often see people comparing their results to other people or even to their former selves. And this can just set you up to make your fat loss journey a lot more difficult for several reasons. Number 1 is there's obviously individual differences between people. Every person's body is unique with different genetics, different metabolism, different metabolic health, different background, different history, etc. So what works for one person might not be what's best for another person. And the way one thing works for one person might not be the way that it works for you. Number 2 is different starting points. If you're starting at a different body weight or body composition, different level of fitness, like newbie gains, those are a real thing. Starting with different dietary habits, different health status overall, like all of those baseline things are going to make a huge difference with how a certain program or whatever is going to affect your body and your results. And number 3 is that you don't know what's going on behind the scenes with that person. Like the number of health and fitness influencers who have like body goals who've lost their periods because they're too lean, or because they restrict their calories too much, or because they're just like not eating enough fat or whatever, like it's crazy. Like if you lose your period in order to reach an aesthetic goal, you are ruining your hormones in order to reach an aesthetic goal, and chances are in the long run that's not going to go very well for you. Like that's what ultimately leads to weight regain, having your hormones completely get way out of whack, having to go through a long time of recovery from that, gaining a lot of weight in the process. And obviously this isn't true for all health and fitness influencers. Like I'm not talking about anyone specifically, by the way. I've just seen this trend over time, and I think it's just worth understanding that you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And so if you saw someone get amazing results from something, there is a chance they also got some really bad results from it, and they're just not sharing that. And then a reason you might not want to compare yourself to your former self with results that you got is that you are in a different place than you were when you got those results before. You're probably in a different starting place, different starting body weight, different starting body composition, just different place in your life. You can't expect your body to get the exact same results from something that it did 5-10 years ago. So if you find yourself constantly comparing yourself to other people or even to your former self, I have some tips for you. Number 1 is just practice mindfulness and self-awareness. Bring attention to the times when you are actively comparing yourself to someone else. So oftentimes this is happening subconsciously. Like it's just a thought, like you see another person on social media or something, and it happens in the back of your head. You just start comparing yourself, and it's not even an intentional, conscious thing. So if you can bring awareness and consciousness to when this is happening, you can start to shift that behavior. And then I also recommend making sure you're setting realistic and personalized goals. So your goals should be specific to your own body, your own background, your own needs, preferences, and circumstances. Define clear objectives that are related to health, fitness, mental well-being, that are specific and meaningful to you, rather than trying to just emulate someone else's journey. And then shifting your focus away from appearance-specific goals and making sure you just have other goals outside of that that you can focus on. So like those non-scale victories, being able to kind of always come back to those and not only be focused on your appearance can make a huge difference. And then try to celebrate your own progress. It can be so easy to always feel down about the fact that we're not making as much progress as someone else. But if you can take the time to completely separate yourself from that and really just focus on what you have achieved, you're gonna find so much more meaning in your journey, and you're gonna be able to engage in so much more self-acceptance and self-love. And then lastly, I think it's really helpful to, assuming you're using a good program to get to where you want to be, having a good program is kind of crucial, as I've explained with all of the previous mistakes, because a lot of programs that are out there incorporate all of these mistakes. But if you have a good program, like Fat Loss 101, for instance, my program on how to lose fat, you can just trust the process and stop focusing on the outcome, and instead just focus on the process and enjoying the process, and focus more on the day-to-day rather than thinking about like, okay, am I specifically on the right track to get to exactly where I need to be? Because if you can trust the program and trust the process, you know you're gonna get there. And so you can have this huge mindset shift away from whether or not you're doing the right thing and whether or not you are failing, and instead just embrace the journey and embrace the benefits that you get along the way. So that's all I have to say about that. Don't think I succeeded in making this a quick video, but it is what it is. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I hope that any of you on your fat loss journeys are going to get something out of this and are able to avoid these mistakes. Do make sure you check out my free course, Metabolism Mastery, all about your metabolism, how to get it healthy, how to speed it up so that you can make fat loss a lot easier for yourself. And if you want to start implementing steps to build a healthy foundation inspiration for a fat loss journey, check out 35 Thrive. I'm actually about to start doing a 35 Thrive myself. By the time this video comes out, I will be like a couple days into it. So if you want to do 35 Thrive along with me, now is a great time to join it. And please leave a comment down below if you have been on a fat loss journey, whether or not it's been successful or not. Let me know what some of the biggest mistakes are that you've made, and if you were able to navigate them, how you went about that. In the meantime, if you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does support me and my channel. I really genuinely appreciate it. Please share this video with your friends, your family, and your gym buddies. If you want to see more content from me all about health and fitness, you can check it out over here. To see future videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so you get notified when I post a video, and I will see you very soon.